I am Adrenalin trained in advanced cardiovascular wellness, retired Navy captain, lifelong learner, educator, and still trying to garden where God's little creatures won't eat everything I plant. But they get hungry. So, interruption.
Is this the commercial?
There.
We're actually recording. Chris is trying to make this work. We're trying to enter the 20th century or the 21st century or one of those centuries that's beyond when we're not recording. So basically today we're going to cover what stress is, the different types of stress, how it affects us, and the most important part is how to prevent the stress or fix it once we've already have it. So what is it? Basically, it's hormones not working the way that they should. You have too few of your hormones that are what are your rest and digest hormones, which is your parasympathetic system, and too much of your get up and go system. And this is part of everyday life. You know, the computer ate my homework, the dog ate my homework. It can be acute or chronic, like boss at work expecting you to do everything too quickly. It can be positive. You could win $1 million, although the IRS is knocking on your door, so that could make it a little less positive. And the side effects, the effects of stress, they say count for about 70% of our doctor's visits. And we see it in things like insomnia and anxiety and depression. So we will get more into that. Well, you have to have stress in your life because, you know, it's that thing. What turns a lump of coal into a diamond? It's that what's called eustress, good stress. It's like what I feel right before I come up and give one of these presentations. It's positive. It gives us that drive to excel. It gives us our creativity and inspiration is why I'm adjusting my PowerPoints, 30 minutes before I come here. One of the opposite of that is distress. And you can have an acute episode where you feel overwhelmed, or it can be a chronic issue in your life. And that's not a good thing. The hyperstress is also an acute situation where people will overreact. The people around you get cranky. I mean, the redhead on the interstate waving her hand and other portions of herself probably at the driver ahead of her. And then the other end to this hypostress, remember we have to have stress or we just sit there like a lump. Again, it's a chronic issue, you're unchallenged, and that's not good either. So trying to find the balance between your good stress and your too much stress or your not enough stress is very critical in our lives. So how does stress affect us? I love this little guy. Short term, you can have tremors, headaches, indigestion, nausea, you get sick to your stomach, muscle aches and pains, your heart pounds, and the people around you can become cranky because it's certainly not you becoming cranky, it's those people around you that are cranky. You get changes in your blood flow. I mean, most of us have heard about that flight or fright reaction. When you get a stress, you're either going to have to fight off something that's causing you trouble or you're going to have to run away. But the trouble is, in the old days, it might be a tiger trying to eat you, and then you'll make a decision and take care of it one way or the other. But nowadays, our stresses are different, and we'll get into that. But basically what happens is non-essential areas, your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your skin, your stomach, your entire GI tract, your immune system, get less blood flow. And they react to that less blood flow with symptoms. And then your sympathetic, your speed up system, the brain, your muscles, your heart, your adrenal glands, get more blood flow. And your body reacts to that more blood flow also. Like when the giant duck is chasing you. or the bear comes to say good morning to you in your tent while you're camping. You need that adrenaline. You need that stress for survival. You breathe more rapidly. Your higher pulse circulates that oxygen around your body. Your blood pressure rises in case you need to run or fight. And your peripheral blood vessels, the ones on the surface of your skin, will constrict. They'll get smaller. So in case you have an injury, you'll be having less blood loss, which is a good thing. Changes in breathing. People get stressed, they get excited, they start breathing quickly. They have anxiety, they hyperventilate. And it's really interesting because when you hyperventilate, we call it blow off your CO2. So you breathe in oxygen so fast, you can't keep a normal level of carbon dioxide in your body. And carbon dioxide is normal. It's just like everything else, not too hot, not too cold, just right. And when your carbon dioxide gets low, your fingers can tingle, you can get chest pain, you get shortness of breath, muscle spasms, and you'd really be surprised the number of people end up in emergency rooms thinking they're having a heart attack when they're hyperventilating. And that's when you give the person a paper bag to blow into, not a plastic bag, paper bag. Because what that paper bag does is it traps some of the carbon dioxide in the bag so that you can re-breathe it and get your carbon dioxide levels better. Deep breathing helps. And we talk about that a lot in our clinic because we do breathing tests that let you know if you're breathing properly. Most people are breathing in their chest and they're doing very shallow breathing. The deep breathing you learn about in yoga class or Tai Chi drops your diaphragm, slows your breathing, and decreases your stress levels. So we know acute stress can be good for us. We know that we have to run away from the giant duck or bear, but chronic stress is what we have so much of in our society nowadays. It's the traffic, it's the pollution, it's the jobs that keep us inside all day versus getting out all day, getting out at least some. And chronic stress takes those survival instincts, the increased adrenaline, and kind of turns them in on us. In that, you start with chronic hormonal imbalances that can create or even make your current medical conditions worse. There are metabolic effects, weight gain, insulin resistance, diabetes, cardiovascular, heart attack, stroke, high blood pressure, and then there's emotional. We have so many people these days that have emotional issues where they're anxious and then they can't sleep. And when you can't sleep, you make more adrenaline and more hormones. It's kind of feeding the fire. And because, not sleeping is how they torture people. If you can't sleep, it really creates issues. You end up with more fear, more anger, more depression. Other effects of chronic stress decreases your immunity. How does it do that? Well, just constant cortisol can be an issue, but it affects the gut bacteria balance, and most of your immune system is in your gut. So that chronic stress actually decreases your beneficial bacteria, can increase your non-beneficial bacteria. You can get opportunistic organisms that are in your gut anyway, but because your gut microbiome isn't normal, they proliferate, they become more of them. And that messes up your gut flora and your feel-good hormones, of which most are in your gut, also decrease. I remember when I was in medical school, 1990, I guess I was in residency, came out with Prozac, brand new drug, given to depressed people. All those people that we gave it to with fibromyalgia, their abdominal pain, and their mood got better. So the experts said, oh, it's because all those fibromyalgia people are crazy. So we gave them antidepressant. They felt better. Well, a few years back, they found out most of your feel-good hormones are in your gut, and there's serotonin. So when we gave people Prozac, it was kind of like serotonin replacement therapy. These people were actually getting enough of the thing they needed to feel good, which if we'd gone and fixed the gut, they would have gotten that too, but we didn't have the technology. Now we actually have this test called GI Map that's a really neat way of fixing people's guts, and we do that here. Because remember, your gut's like mama. If it ain't happy, nobody's happy. Asthma. So how does stress impact asthma? I mean, we've all seen those TV shows where a person gets upset and they run for their inhaler, and that movie where the babysitter drained them all. I forget which one that was, but when people get stressed, their airways shut down. And the trouble with that is the constriction makes you have more risk of bacteria hanging out in your airways. And since the stress is already reducing your immune system, you're more open to viruses and bacteria. And so how can we help this? We're actually going to go into a few. For asthma particularly, it's a thing called cognitive behavioral therapy that is very effective, and it kind of teaches you how to not let stress bother you as much. And psychologists teach that. And this is a picture of my mom and my dad on their wedding day. Dad says mom married him because he looked like Tyrone Powers. I went and looked up Tyrone Powers. Dad looked a lot better than Tyrone Powers. But when you have stress, it actually causes brain damage. And you may not remember getting married because the hippocampus, that area of your brain that makes memories and helps you store memories, becomes damaged. And not only can you not remember what already happened, it becomes harder to put more memories in. And I'll be giving a talk later this year on memory called Mind Matters, so that because we all want to keep our minds as long as we're here. So actual brain damage from chronic stress, not good. Now, we mentioned insomnia. When people have stress, they can't sleep. There are stress-reducing behaviors that we can put into play. There are supplements, there's herbs, there's things we can do. Certainly talk with your doctor about some options. But the big thing is to figure out, why do I have this stress? And what behaviors do I have that I can use to fix them? And we'll go through a lot of them in a few minutes. So, first off, how healthy is your relationship to stress? If you go have 6 margaritas every time you have stress, that's not a healthy relationship. If you overeat, that's not a healthy relationship. If you go play with your grandkids and have fun, that's a good way to react to it. Or for me, I like to go out in the yard and try to make things grow, and that relieves my stress. So you find those things in your life that help, and I'm going to give you some suggestions. Anger is a real issue with people, and I love this saying, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. We can't do things like overeat, overdrink to try to solve our stress issues either. We need to look for healthier options. And you have to have a plan. So you either have a plan or you're going to fail to plan, and then you don't have success. And then you don't have success, you have more stress. People with goals succeed because they know where they're going. So where are we going? Stress management techniques. I had to use many stress management techniques today. It was a really great day in the neighborhood. So what can we do? Meditation. I'm hoping to get a lecture again this year on meditation. But things like yoga, Tai Chi, things that make you focus on your body and movement, or not, or relaxing is very helpful. Scheduling leisure and fun, which is something that most of us don't do. Those of you that are retired and have more time in your life, great. Schedule that fun, just like you would schedule going to the doctor or getting your hair cut. Hobbies. Just make sure your hobbies don't stress you out. Find those hobbies that are relaxing. And sleep, we mentioned. Absolutely critical. And I actually have a whole lecture on sleep. Should be coming up later in the year. So what else can we do? Journaling. A lot of people will journal. When you're stressed, you write down everything that stresses you out and close the book on it for the day and forget about it. Or you can do the reframing method where you look at what you put and say, well, you know, I reacted this way to that and I shouldn't have, and it's a way of decreasing stress levels there. Having a belief system. So if you don't believe in anything, it can be really hard to get through some of those rough times. And, you know, I love another expression I love. It says, when you're going through hell, don't stop. Because you don't want to stay there. You don't want to be in that unhappy place. So having a belief system, having a way to be of service. I remember I was listening to a lecture a while back, and Christopher Reeve, which most of us remember Superman, that had a horrendous accident, was paraplegic. She was saying, well, Chris and I get stressed. We go out and do something for somebody else. And that makes us feel better. So whatever it is that you can do to make you feel better, because, you know, in general, we're pretty darn lucky in this country. And realizing that at times can help us. You know, do you have a support system? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Do you have a church? Use them, because most people are glad to help you. Just put yourself in those situations. If they have meetings, go to the meeting. There's somebody, if they have a pastor, if you need help, go talk to the pastor. Or talk to the pastor's wife, because she does most of the work. But use your support system. If you have friends, you should have friends. Go visit with them. Do activities that bring you joy. Visualization. I like that a lot when I'm trying to go to sleep. Is I think about, some people, my husband thinks about a blank page. That just annoys me. So I visualize someplace I'd like to be or something pleasant. And that reduces stress. You know, we can't be unhappy if we're watching an old Robin Williams movie or the Three Stooges or whatever it is that you like that makes you laugh. You can't be unhappy when you're laughing. And of course, massage, energy work, chiropractic, all those things that take pain away from you are going to decrease your stress, because pain makes you very, very stressed. What else? Oh, toxins. I have a whole lecture on that I think I'm going to do in June, because if your body is toxic, you're not healthy. Your body is under constant stress. I mentioned chiropractic. Dr. Chow is going to speak to us next week on acupuncture. Magnetic technology, my husband does those. Essential oils, things like lavender and citrus can be very relaxing. And the deep breathing. I mentioned people are breathing in their chest when they should be dropping the diaphragm and breathing that way. Weight training. I hate going to weight training, but I feel so much better when I'm done. Maybe it's just because I'm done, but it relieves stress. It stretches those tight muscles. Makes me feel better. Having a good office manager. There's Miss Teresa. Yay, Miss Teresa. Definitely lowers my stress levels. And, you know, if you go to a traditional Western doctor and you said, I can't sleep or have stress, it's like, here's your prescription. But prescriptions really don't want to be the first thing we do. They have their place. They can be incredibly beneficial in the short term. But unless you change what's causing the stress, it's not going to be fixed with the prescription. Who is it that said insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result? So we have to do something different. And sometimes it's small things. Movement lowers your stress response. I remember when I was living up here, my mother was down in Galliano. this is years ago, my sister called and said, Mom's having chest pain. And we're taking her to the hospital. And we had 2 little kids at that point. And I said, you know, I can't do anything about that. So I went out and I worked in my yard. Got a ton of stuff done. And my sister called back, oh, well, she was just having reflux. And it's like, whew, I get an awful lot done when I get stressed because when I move, I have less stress. So whether you're going dancing, whether you're exercising, whether you're gardening, whatever it is that lowers or gets you moving will lower your stress levels versus sitting there and worrying about it. All right, Shinrin Roku, or forest bathing. This is something the Japanese do. And there are studies that show the positive effect of this is better or the same as exercise. And it means taking in the forest atmosphere. And it's not just walking in the forest. It's like you go in the forest and, you know, you breathe the air, you absorb the quietness, you use all your senses to actually kind of become one with the forest. And the Japanese believe using this technique, forest bathing, the forest will make you happy. And many of us, when we go out in nature, find it's relaxing. It's like when my husband goes hunting, he doesn't often get anything, but I said, well, you have fun with your brother communing with nature and just getting out there without the computers and the cell phones and people that need things from you can be very relaxing. Diet's important, and I love this. When diet is wrong, medicine is no use. When diet is correct, medicine is no need. Well, you still may need it, but you don't need so much. And all of us here are smart enough to know what's healthy. You know, when people talk about fat, you know, Krispy Kreme donut, bad. Avocado, good. You know, we were talking about diet just before the talk. You know, what kind of diet should I be on? Well, so much of it depends on your individual body makeup. And it even can go back to what your ancestry. What did your people eat? And eating that kind of diet could even be more beneficial. But we know we probably all be eating some fruits and veggies, good fats, good fiber, avoiding what I call evil white things, the white bread, white rice, white pasta, white sugar, you know, avoiding foods that have these many ingredients in it because it's processed and not healthy. If you're going to do grains, whole grains are better, soaked is better. Not drinking 4 pots of coffee a day is a good thing because that tends to raise your anxiety level and it kill off your good bacteria. And we know that's not good. And it raises anxiety. A lot of people do better with breakfast. Others intermittent fasting. Should we be eating breakfast? Should we be skipping breakfast? If you eat breakfast and you feel good, then you probably ought to be eating breakfast. If you eat breakfast and you're crazy hungry the whole day long, maybe it's what you're eating for breakfast, and that might need to be adjusted. Now, people, when we skip too many meals, the people around us become cranky because our blood sugar is low. So not skipping a bunch of meals can be helpful. You know, there are certain foods, I can give you all a little list. I finally have a portable one. You should do organic foods. Now, which fruits and veggies are best to buy organic? You don't have to buy everything organic when you talk about fruits and vegetables. Save your money to buy something else. But there are a number of fruits and vegetables you should buy organic because they're heavily contaminated. Empty calories, things like soft drinks, alcohol, and sweet tea, and, you know, the evil white things. They don't really give us anything beneficial. So when you put food in your body for it to be nourishing is beneficial. You want your foods to be nutrient dense and have regular meals. Some people do well on 2 meals a day. Some do 3, some do 5. You know, it's what your body needs, and sometimes you have to play around to figure that out. Supplements. Now, ideally, you should get your nutrients from your food in a perfect world. but most of us don't. And if you have a lot of stress, you are burning up your omega-3s, your magnesium, your vitamin C, your antioxidants, your vitamin D. And we actually have a test we do here to see what your antioxidant levels look like. So if you say, oh, all I do is I eat all healthy and I eat all green stuff, well, if you do your antioxidant level and it's in the tubes, then we know, even though you may be doing well, you're not doing enough for the conditions that your body is living under. We also can check these other things, but most people, especially under stress, have these deficiencies, which some we can fix with food, some we may need to supplement. And when you supplement, we need to see what medications you're on to make sure we're not fighting your medications. Stress-specific testing, when you're in a lot of stress, I mentioned we do antioxidants. We do red blood cell levels, which are total body levels of things like magnesium and calcium. We can look for toxicity. We can look for expanded thyroid testing. We also look to see for chronic infections. We have the Cytoscan, which is an informational medicine technique that can help us make decisions on your nutrients. We can do neurotransmitter testing for people that have chronic stress and chronic depression to help balance out the actual neurotransmitters, your serotonin, your norepinephrine, your dopamine. And then I mentioned the GI mapping. All these things get you in balance so that your body can deal with stress better. I always mention water for my patients. If you've been around me more than 10 minutes, we're talking about water. Half your body weight in ounces, 2 for 1 for caffeine, more if you're outside working in the yard. If you don't drink enough water, you can't detoxify through the urine and the bowels. Your mucus in your lungs gets thick, and then you're more likely to have issues there. Your brain, what part of your brain isn't fat, it's water. So if you don't drink enough water, your brain shrivels up like a little prune, and we don't want that. The discs in your back, you know what happens to those jelly donuts when you set them on the counter a few days? They shrivel up, and your discs in your back that keep your backbones away from each other are like that jelly donut. If you don't keep it hydrated, they shrink and give you more problems with chronic back pain. Hydration has been shown to help depression, blood pressure, pain, anxiety, reflux, faulty thinking, constipation. I'll have to change this slide because there's a doctor that wrote this book. Actually, he wrote several, and his name is Dr. Batman Jelly. But he wrote the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. And this gentleman was actually a political prisoner, and he was supposed to take care of the other prisoners, but all he had was water. And so the guy said, well, I have reflux. He said, well, drink more water. Told him how much water to drink, made his reflux better. And it's actually quite fascinating because most people in this country are chronically dehydrated, and it makes all kinds of issues. People are stressed, so I'll just take a drink. And I call these your false friends, probably one of the few phrases I remember from French class in high school. So your false friend, your faux ami, alcohol. Initially, it can make you relaxed, but it stimulates the release of cortisol by the pituitary, the adrenals, the hypothalamus, wakes you up. I know when I would drink back in the old days, I'd have a couple glasses of wine, I felt good. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd be up. But your liver has to detoxify that stuff, and then it wakes you up. And then you wake up, and then you come back to sleep, and you're more stressed. Plus, if you start, alcohol is pure sugar. If you're doing straight alcohol, it takes a couple more steps to break it down, but especially if you're drinking pina coladas, margaritas, they're full of high fructose corn syrup as well as sugar. So now you have all the sugar, which feeds our bad bacteria, kills our microbiome, and makes more stress. Smoking, people say, well, when I smoke, it relaxes me. Of course, you're addicted to nicotine. So when you're smoking, you get your drug of choice, but It can increase your heart rate, elevate your blood pressure, make muscle tension worse, decreases oxygen in your body. And, you know, when you stop smoking, you have withdrawal. So these false friends, alcohol and cigarettes, aren't going to really help your stress levels in the long term if you're using it for stress. So why worry? You have a problem in your life? No, don't worry about it. Do you have a problem in your life? Can you do something about it? Great, do something about it. But if you can't do something about it, don't worry about it, because your worrying about it is not going to help. My mother would worry about everything. So my dad never had to worry about anything because mom was doing all the worrying for him. And it's like, oh, it's going to be a terrible world for my grandchildren. It's like, Mom, you can't fix that. Don't let things you can't control rule your life. You have to let it go. You know, the serenity prayer. I finally got this in here. Serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know what can I fix and what can't I fix. And the things you can't fix, you'd be like Elsa, frozen, let it go. If you can't fix it, let it go. And if you can fix it, take those steps. You know, in our office, we tell our girls there are no problems. There are just solutions. There are divine opportunities to learn and grow. Because remember, you need stress. We don't have problems. We have challenges. Sometimes they can look insurmountable, but sometimes we have to think a little bit differently to make that happen. And that's what I hope I was able to introduce a little for you guys tonight in this program. Identify what your stresses are. If you're married to them, you might have to do like one of my patients told me the other day. It's like, this is not working. But, you know, I had the other one tell me, yep, doc, husband and I got into counseling. We actually had gotten so far as getting a divorce order, and we're back together again because I had help. So that was something they figured out they could fix. Recognize that, yes, I'm stressed. And what am I going to do about it? How is it affecting me socially, emotionally, physically? Use your relaxation techniques that you have. Use your stress management tactics. There are so many options. There are so many options. Prevent or decrease your stress levels by healthy eating. And, you know, we had snacks out there. Snacks that are healthy, that decrease stress, they're chocolate. You know, what more can we ask for in life? So find that healthy eating because it decreases your stress level because you're providing your body with the nutrients you need to be healthy. Let it go when you can't control it. And, you know, we talk about stress a lot in our practice. I remember right after I switched over to MDVIP, I had a patient come in, and there was so much stress going on in his life. And part of it was because of his business. I mean, I don't know how people's businesses run, but I sat down, I talked to him like for an hour and a half, and I said, well, if it were me, this is what I would consider doing. And it was funny because I have received so many texts from him. My husband says, is that your boyfriend again? And I say, yeah, it's him. And, you know, I was able to support him because of the type of practice I do now. And I saw him about 9 months later, and we had done some supplements and some medication, but 9 months later, he'd gotten everything taken care of at the family business. He was down to just a few supplements. And because we were able to discuss it. Sometimes the stress is so close to you, you can't find a way out. And that's why having your having your support structure, having your physician, having, you know, a mental health professional work with you to teach you techniques. So there are so many opportunities for you. In our practice, I know those of you that come here didn't realize this is not an updated photo. We are working on getting everybody updated, but everybody wants to be beautiful when they get their picture took. But if you like what you've heard, we have a great staff. We love what we do. We have a size-limited practice, so we have time to talk with you. I mean, I don't run behind as much as I used to, but sometimes it does happen. We don't look at drugs as your first option because lots of times drugs are just covering up your symptoms, and we need to go a little bit deeper. We have great things with the MDVIP program, including our annual wellness exam, your personalized care. We do things that other clinics don't do because we look a little bit deeper. And so we have detailed lab testing, but other things that we send out. We do have our free classes, which of course you realize you don't have to be a member to come to. And we welcome people coming in because if I can create some information for somebody that might help them, that makes me really happy. You do have more time with me as a physician, and we also have other independent practitioners in the building that we can refer to. If the style appeals to you and you're not already a patient, you can do a meet and greet. Come see me, talk to us, and see if what we do is what you need. We still have a few spots open. We always have to have Elvis there so I can say thank you very much. And then questions. Primarily about this, but if you have questions on other topics, I would be glad to entertain them.
When you were talking about hydration and how it impacts the discs, etc., is that something that can actually be reversed, or is that permanent?
Well, if you're very dehydrated and the discs are pressing on things, hydrating it and keeping the hydration up can significantly decrease your hurting levels. Also, Miss Lisa, a massage therapist back there, can tell you, she can tell if people are drinking enough water when she does the massage, because the muscle, everything feels different. You know, because you keep toxins in your body if you're not hydrated. The water is critical. And I had a patient come in this week, so, oh, I drink 4-ounce glasses a day, and it's like, okay, let's start there. Because unless you're, that's what, 4, 8, 12, 16 ounces, unless you're 32 pounds, that's not going to work. Now, there are some special conditions where people have to drink less water, like with congestive heart failure and issues like that. But most of us, we're not drinking half our body weight, are pretty seriously hydrated, which leads to many, many issues. And we don't want our brains to shrivel up like little prunes.
Is that reversible also?
Well, yeah, if you keep drinking your water, those conditions, just like if your plant's wilted because it's dry, but you don't ever let it get, you don't want to drown it. But if you keep it hydrated, then it won't wilt. Same thing with our bodies. Next lecture, while I'm thinking about it, Dr. Chow will be back on our 2nd and 4th Tuesday routine, and there are some schedules up on the table outside. Do appreciate if y'all sign in, and if there's any other snacks you need to take home, please help yourself. Make sure you get a door prize. I will be here for any further questions or things you want to talk about. And thank you so much for coming out to be with us tonight. It is appreciated. You got to participate in our first recorded lecture. We're trying to enter the future.
You said you might put that on YouTube.
We're going to see how it turned out. Today was our kind of trial run, and that's the goal, is to try to get it on our Facebook and figuring out that YouTube thing too, just to get